Hello everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. We have MTV MultiVac on the radar today. Before we go into the chart, let's just have a quick review of a couple of things from MTV the last week or so. We haven't really done an MTV video for about a week, I think, to be fair anyway, so it'll be good. First and foremost, the roadmap still hasn't been updated on the website. Still haven't seen an advancement from the roadmap article that they wrote a couple of weeks ago now. Have my frustrations dimmed down a bit? I think they have to an extent. I mean, like I said, even in those frustrated videos, when we were going through the roadmap and everything, we know of MultiVac's capabilities for sure, on the scalability and everything like that. And it did say that it was a competitor, kind of like DAG blockchain. I'm not sure about that just yet. We'll have to see, but clearly still to this day for MultiVac, the concentration is around NFTs. And actually, to be fair, they've started adding in more functionality for play to earn. One of them being Galactic Pirates as an example. Very interesting to see how this game develops over time. But this is being built on MultiVac, which is interesting. So it's going to be interesting to see what gaming projects they bring out. The NFTs, which have been going on for some time on MultiVac. But yeah, I just don't know. I feel like I want to see more of the technological side of MTV. I guess one of the big things, to be fair, coming out recently was the relay chain. So very much the whole bridging aspect and bringing in some extra assets to be able to use on the DEX platform on the MultiVac system. So could be that in the next couple of weeks or so. I mean, I think they did say they went live, which is really cool. I think it's March the 9th, so it's only a few days back. But yeah, some of these videos aren't working, which is strange, but whatever. So yeah, going to keep an eye on it. For me personally, I'm just going to actually switch to the chart, to be fair, because there's not really massive updates from MultiVac. And to be fair, a lot of projects have not necessarily gone majorly quiet recently. I think there's so much going on around the world. People are picking and choosing when to deliver the information and what's the right time for that. So guys, for me, MultiVac, as you know, I was quite late to the party. It was actually Cheeky Crypto. I was watching their videos in 2021, quite some time back. I think it was before this uptake here in April, actually. And I didn't buy any MultiVac really until actually the later stages around August time. Because I thought, you know what, 1.5-ish cents is pretty decent. I still stand by that. I think MultiVac in the long run will be absolutely phenomenal. And you can see these very nice trend patterns on the high end here. But of course, in the low end as well, it's actually having a nice progressive move in relatively a year's move, to be honest here. If you look at this in the long-term landscape, I think what's interesting for me personally is I'm like, wow, when it was back up here and I was like, God, these people staking have got like millions of them. How have they done that so fast? And then of course you look at these original kind of price points, absolutely mega. Forget the sort of launch pad areas. When we came back to a sort of consolidated 0.0003 back in November 2020. If we go back to March last year, literally around this area here, I think if we just go on to the exact day, let's just have a look at the high on that, 0.002. So we're currently floating at 0.006, and it hasn't really moved that much. So in my mind, I'm just basically trying to accumulate MTV as much as possible in the higher regions. I want to get a really good bag of it. I probably still don't have as many as you guys out there, but I just look at it and see like, well, okay, forget the roadmap situation earlier this month. What do we think about MultiVac technology? And we covered that really well in the introduction video for MultiVac. Of course, as Cheeky Crypto mentioned, this one around about a year ago probably is when I first heard them talking about it maybe. So, you know, it's got some good interest behind it. But I think like it's one of those where, of course, the price point is so low to accumulate more. But I do think you need like decent bags of this to go places with it. And, you know, I remember even some videos saying like, oh, it could get to like 50 cents or whatever in the next bull run. And I thought, well, okay, I think 27 cents is possibly achievable on some of these long-term fib retracements and whatever in the long run. But yeah, I would very much like us, first of all, to try and at least get to maybe 4 or 5 cents would be really good to see MultiVac get to first before we start talking about 30 cents. But for sure, these kind of projects can indeed fly up. Once you get to 4 or 5 cents, we've seen it like VeChain a couple of years ago when I was buying VeChain at like 2 cents, and that shot up, to be fair, to 25 cents, 27, I think. So it's achievable. We need a good run of MultiVac to come, but that's not really going to happen anytime soon until the whole entire market flips itself around. However, positivity, extra positivity for MultiVac right now. Like I said, a good accumulation point for me personally. We've seen all the different buy areas that we've been doing over the last few videos of MTV. We've been hitting them, and we've actually been doing really well with the dollar cost averaging. I don't buy on these upward trends. I've been getting them as much as I can on the way down. Sometimes I don't hit the full bottom of them. Sometimes I do those manually, to be fair. But we're really hitting an interesting point. I mean, look at this. Touch points here, early January, end of January. We had a couple of points here at the end of February, but very quick retracements back. I'm just going to put this into a bit bigger so you can see what I'm talking about here. So very much playing around with these lower regions of the longer term and the mid-range fib retracement charts that we have here overlapping each other. So it looks a bit messy here, but the reason I put it in there is quite interesting one in terms of the touch points. Is very interesting when you look at these areas in more detail. So we're at this lower level again, something that hasn't really been seen other than these January, February marks. We didn't see these areas since here around August time. And there's good little areas here of pockets of information that are telling us that these are good resistance support areas that we've shot past a number of times. And look at that, even back here, April last year, floating around this area. Of course, there's a lot of volatility here if you look at it in this spectrum because of the things that MultiVac was doing at that time with launches and things like that. So very interesting indeed. Like with other charts, I do think we're getting to the very bottom periods of these assets. What I mean by that is, its aspect of coming even lower is less likely to be happening, albeit, like I said in the veracity video earlier, is anything can happen, of course, in this space. Anything narrative wise around the world, Bitcoin's movements in a falsified futures or whatever can bring it down. But generally speaking, in the times that has happened, we covered that with the recent one of veracity around this area here and here as well. 24th of February, this is a marker on pretty much every asset. You will see this very similar pattern of a proper drop down rejection on pretty much everything and putting itself back up. However, over a small period of time, we do drag ourselves back down to those areas to test that. It's almost like giving you a hindsight in the future to say this might be an area of interest that we've already bounced around back here. So MultiVac is showing good strength, very similar to veracity actually in terms of its movements. Can it come lower? Of course, potentially. I personally have got the buy order in. I've literally probably snapped one up earlier today, to be fair, around 0.0067, I think I have mine. So I am going to put some lower ones back down at these regions, literally just above this 0.006 mark, but I do want to put a cheeky one in just under that as well. What I mean is literally if I draw that in there, it's just touching this fib retracement level here at the bottom area just to see a repeated pattern. I think we need to see that maybe just one more time so we can try and bounce off that and put ourselves back up. It's going to be a very long transition, guys, not just with this asset class, many of them out there, but we're seeing good positive signs at this stage. December and beginning of January, you see the RSIs are really low, and since then we've had some fluctuating prices because of launches and this, that and the other. The roadmap, albeit was terrible, it's still good enough news for people to be buying into it and getting excited. We then had the mirror effect of some overselling here from this point around 19th of February and back here. So the roadmap, I think, came out around about here. It wasn't enough to pull it into a good green area, but it was certainly enough to stop from pulling too far downwards. So now we're sitting here with the RSIs at very comfortable areas. These are good areas for me personally, especially in the 14-day. It's under the 40 mark. The 28 days floating around at a strong 40 position. That in my mind is like good area to be getting it personally, but with understanding that we might see possibly some slightly lower price points as well. And we might see a quick flash drop. Who knows? Anytime. So the MACD still in a bearish mode. Like I said, we're not going to see this switch around anytime soon, in my opinion. We just need to start now this sideways trading movement, stop these drag downs. I think what's going to happen more and more is you're going to get a lot of people getting bored and pulling out of things or needing money for this, money for that. I mean, look at the state of the UK, for example, right now. Everyone's like complaining about the fuel price and this and the other. Where are you going to turn to? Probably your savings and probably things you've got in investments, because you're like, oh, well, this is money that I've put in spare anyway. So this is what happens. Bit of a shakeout, bit of the narratives around the world helping with that as well. I just feel like we're around the corner from a quick flash sale somewhere. I just feel it, but I'll be waiting for sure. So these indicators on the right hand side showing still negative patterns across the board other than the year in general. I'm a bit disappointed with the week, to be honest. I thought that would be slightly reduced. However, the 3 month and the 1 month aren't as bad as many other assets. I think, like I said in the earlier in this video on the charts, is that this is gradually a nice gradual transition down. I do think we'll get some bounce offs around this area and start taking this up into a forward momentum, but we do need to see things positively in other areas as well for that to happen. So that's what I'm doing with MultiVac, guys. Let us know what you're doing with yours. I'm waiting for this lower area now. Already I've bought in this area that we've been in the last couple of days, but I'm being selfish here. I want this last gasp area here before we hopefully take this up into a forward trajectory. If we don't, there's positivity here in the sense that we're, albeit not massively, getting the smaller higher lows. I'm clutching at straws here, but in my mind it looks like we're slowly but surely trying to pull this around. Let's give it a bit more time, guys, but for sure I'm just waiting down at these lower areas. Let us know what you're doing with yours. Until the next MultiVac video, take care, guys, and we'll see you very soon. Bye bye.